so this is episode 2 of like a new monthly, pardon me, a new monthly series where I look at the past month's releases of 2000 AD and its sister title, Dredd megazine. There won't be any like critique or review of the stories inside. It's just to give you an idea of what, because obviously being a weekly comic, the stories change quite frequently, so it's just to give you an idea of the artwork and what stories are currently showing in 2000 AD. And obviously when there's a new jumping on point, it'll give you a good idea when to try the comic again if you've kind of like stopped buying it, which I do think is a silly thing to do. And if you have, I do recommend maybe getting like a digital subscription, especially if you're not in the UK. So this is Welcome to the Ice Cubes episode 2, or should I be a real 2000 AD nerd and call it prog 2? So we're looking at progs 2377, 2378, 2379, 2380 and Judge Dredd magazine 467. So the first one that we're looking at has a really cool, fun cover by one of 2000 AD's most faithful cover artists. He's got a bit of a Brian Bolland style to him. I really like how his art style's evolved over time. And it's Cliff Robinson, and he's got a really good picture of Tharg, who's the 2000 AD editor-in-chief, Tharg the Mighty. So that's the cover. And then we're continuing with the Judge Dredd story, Rend and Tear with Tooth and Claw. This is part 2. So it's PM Guerra on artwork, RM Guerra, and Rob Williams on writing. So RM Guerra was the artist from Scouts, the Vertigo title from years ago by Jason Aaron. This is gorgeous, beautiful artwork, and the storyline is really savage and brutal. It's basically thrown Judge Dredd out of his familiarity of the city of Megacity 1 or Megacity 2 and into this harsh landscape. And basically it's a survival tale. And then we're carrying on with Full Tilt Boogie. This is book 2, part 11. Very different style of artwork. Alex De Campi on writing and Eduardo Lucana on the artwork. This was initially in 2000 AD Regine. It's like a one shot, which is their younger, sporadically released comic. But it's now in 2000 AD. It's got a really nice kind of like, I love that last page. It's got a very nice like you could picture it being like one of these European albums where the story it's all self-contained. What I do like about 2000 AD is how they tend to keep the same artist and writer on the series for as long as they can, or if they do change the artist, they'll put them on and keep them on for like a big story arc, unlike a lot of American comics. And then we've got one of my favourite strips, Aquila. This used to be called Black Hawk. So he's a black Roman centurion. So he started off as a slave and he gained his freedom and he became a centurion. And it's got a really cool supernatural element to it. And this is written by Gordon Rennie, who's a top solid writer, and Patrick Goddard doing some really nice artwork. The last thing Patrick Goddard did in 2000 AD was the Rogue Trooper story, written by Garth Ennis. But I recommend this if you like sword and sorcery and fantasy comics. It's a really fun comic. And then carrying on with The Weird, Indigo Prime by Keck W. Lee Carter. And like I said last time, experimenting with colour and what you can do with comics. It's a very meta comic. It realises it's a work of fiction and plays with that idea. And this page is just amazing. It's teamed with characters that blur the lines between reality, fiction, etc. So there's people who we know from our reality. And then there's Process Vex Part 3, and it's by Mike Carroll on script, Jake Lynch on art. As I mentioned previously, Jake Lynch is becoming a really solid artist now. He's really coming to his own. The layouts in this are really phenomenal, and I love the colouring as well. So that's that issue. Next up we have 2378. Love this cover. It's by, is it Patrick Goddard? Yeah, Patrick Goddard. and it's Aquila. Really nice picture. So we're carrying on with Judge Dredd, again by Aaron Guerra and Rob Williams. So like I said, this is a bit of a mini epic. I've just noticed that he signs each page down the side of the page. Don't know if you can see, just there. It's cool. This will be a gorgeous collection once the story's finished. I'm really enjoying Judge Dredd. I have been for quite a while, and they've done some really solid stories with great art. And after that, one of my personal favourites, and it's kind of like become one of the modern classics in 2000 AD, and it's Brink. It's a Dan Abnett, Ian J. Coulbard creation. It's kind of like a police procedural mystery in space. I think the closest I could put it would be True Detective in space. It's got that kind of subdued vibe to it. So when the shocks do happen, they really throw you. But Ian J. Coulbard's artwork is just so nice and distinct. Really nice clear line. And for contrasting style, I've got parts of Aquila. And as I said, it's by Gordon Rennie and art by Patrick Goddard. And that splash is just amazing. The art in 2000 is so different to American art. They really make use of these big pages, and each panel, if you notice, has background. What annoys me, I love American comics. My review shows you know how much I love them. But one thing that 2000 AD and a lot of European comics have over American comics and their artists, they do backgrounds. Look at all the detail going on there. You don't get that in a lot of American comics. They use colours instead to disguise the lack of backgrounds. There's quite a bit of laziness in American comics. And then Indigo Prime, again, this is by Keck W. and Lee Carter. Again, the colour work in this is just superb. And next up, last but certainly no means least, is Process Effect by Mike Carroll, Jake Lynch on art. That I love the colours on that. Again, they just know how to play with colour and layout and background. There's no empty gaps. Everything is full of action. It keeps you connected to the story. So that's that one. And then this cover is one of my favourites for a long time. It's simplistic, but it's so clever. This is 2379. This cover's by Ian J. Coulbard, I think. Yes, it is. So it's referencing Brink. But I love this cover. Make a great film poster. Just look at that. Initially, you don't grasp what you're seeing. So it's space, but there's a mouth, like a monster's mouth, and then there's a spaceship inside its jaw. It's just brilliant. I love that. You can buy actually the covers from 2000AD from 2000AD.com shop. You can get the covers without the text on, and if you like a cover, you can get a nice art print of it. And I'm tempted with that one. So we have Judge Dredd Part 4, Run and Tear with Tooth and Claw, again by Rob Williams, Aaron Guerra. Artwork again, just absolutely magnificent. Great use of like snowy landscapes, but again, even though it snows, a lot of artists think, oh, don't need to put much detail because it snows, but he has detail in it again. It's just so good. And the contrast, the nighttime scene, the colouring, it's nighttime, even though there's quite a lot of white and blue in the background. Just masterful. It's just so good. And that long panel there, just great. And next up, Aquila, again by Gordon Rennie, Patrick Goddard. That gets your attention straight away. You want to dive straight into that story. Look at that. So it's embracing a lot of mythology here. So you have Medusa, you have the Cerberus, the multi-headed dog. That splash is amazing. Look at the detail there. All the people in the background, just look at that. That is all hand drawn. and the use of colours just phenomenal. It's set in hell, this bit, but it's a different colouring for hell. It's like a desert. I just love that. And then we're moving on to, like I said, one of the modern classics, Brink, by Dan Abnett and J. Colbard. And again, the use of colours in the artwork, just beautiful. It's such a contrast. So you go from fantasy to like almost like a procedural / hard sci-fi story with a healthy mystery in it. Almost like 2001 sensibilities to it. I love it. Again, I love the colour tones, colour changes in it. This is why 2000 is so special to me, where it's always, apart from the dip in the mid-90s, which I might do a video of sometime, it's always been so strong. And Indigo Prime is a prime contender for some of the best art in a comic. And again, this is by KW Lee Carter. And again, contrast, all within a matter of pages. It just keeps your attention. This is pretty mind-blowing. All these body parts. And then Proteus Vex. Proteus Vex isn't my favourite comic. It's a bit too abstract for me, but I do like the art, so I still enjoy it. But compared to the other strips, it's my least favourite. But because of it being aliens, they can get quite bloody with it without it really giving really shocking impacts as if it was human beings. And then the last one of the stack of 4 2000 ADs, another Aquila cover. This one is by John McCrea, who did Hitman. I love his covers. I love how his art styles develop so differently now. And then we've got Just Dredd, a continuation of that story by Onguera and Rob Williams. And so you got from the snowy to the desert. That is just so nice. And this page, there's hardly any dialogue, but you don't need it. It's just beautiful. Again, the use of colours, which just creates such a great mood. And then back to Aquila, again by Gordon Rennie, Patrick Goddard. So like a complete change in tone from strip to strip, but each one interesting in their own way. I've just noticed that's pretty grim, so knife through the face there. Would you get away with that in Marvel? I doubt it. Brink Consumed Part 3, again, the colour scheme. I always imagine like Stanley Kubrick in my head when I read Brink. It's got that same kind of cold, clinical look, but very attractive. Again by Dan Abnett and Ian J. Colbard. I do recommend hunting down the collections of this story. You won't be disappointed. It's a really good futuristic crime noir. Then back onto Indigo Prime by KW and Lee Carter. Notice that person might be Jack Sparrow. Just so surreal. It makes Doom Patrol look sane. This is more like William Burroughs more than Grant Morrison for surreality or surrealism. Then Proteus Vex, rounding us off again, Mike Carroll, Jake Lynch. I do like the use of purples on that one. Well, is it purples or is it more like an indigo? I don't know. That's how you do flashbacks. So that's that. And finally, we've got the magazine. Great John McCrea cover. This is a really nice character. He's a Brit-Cit detective chief, and he's called Armitage. Really cool. Makes such a great TV series. John McCrea doing the cover there. And the first strip is by Mike Carroll and writing, Paul Marshall, on artwork. Paul Marshall, I can take him or leave him. Sometimes he's really good, other times he'd be quite workmanlike. But he's clean. He does the job. He's just not very standout for me. But by no way, what it means is he's a poor colour artist. And again, the colouring is just phenomenal. And then what you get is there's quite a bit. They also have some interesting interviews in as well. So there's focusing on different artists. So Chris Weston here. This is a new indie book. So they don't just focus on their own titles. They focus on other publishers as well to give a shout out to. This is on forgotten artists and what they're doing now. Really interesting topics what they cover. Iger Gokind, who did quite a bit for Titan. And then there's another DeMarco story, part 3 of No Smoke. Laura Bailey on writing, not from Chris Carroll, just same name, and Rob Richardson on artwork. I'm not so keen on Rob Richardson. He's good, but I don't know. I just find his art a bit off-putting for me. So that's not good. 2 stories in Judge Dredd, but I'm not that keen on art-wise. But there's been a lot worse artists. Not in Judge Dredd, but I mean in other places. And we've got Armitage, which has got one of my favourite artists on it. It's written by Liam Johnson, who I'm not familiar with, but arted by Warren Please. He's so good. His art looks so simple, and yet it's not. He's done so much. Started as a small press, British fanzines and comic strips in the 80s, and he just kind of like made his name in Dark Horse Comics and DC. Vertigo did a lot of stuff for them, and Kate's on popping back to Judge Dredd in 2000 AD. Really nice line work to his style. Nice colours on here as well. Again, complete contrasting tone. This is coming back soon. Hawk the Slayer. On the page of 2000 AD. Then there's an interrogation of this artist called Steve Kite. He's bringing out a collection of Thunderbirds, Terrorhawks strips, sorry. And then there's a look at Scream to bring out a hardback, oversized omnibus collecting all the issues of Scream, which was a groundbreaking horror comic in the mid 80s. It's got like a really cult following now, and they reprint a strip from Scream to give you a taste of what will be in there. And then they're carrying on with Hookjaw. So this is Jaws, but like Jaws if he was on steroids. So Jaws with a very strong horror flavour to it. But the art is great. It's by Connor Boyle, written by Simon Spurrier, who everybody knows I love. He's doing Flash and Hellblazer at the moment. And then really nice art piece by Luke Hansen. And then we have a continuation of the story by Mark Russell of Flintstones fame, etc. Art by Max Dunbar, doing a Just Dredd strip. Quite nice. I've enjoyed the story so far in this. I'll just jump ahead now because my battery's running out. And from there we have one of my favourites, and it's written by Els Cott, who's superb, and artwork by 2000 AD mainstay PJ Holden, and it's Devlin Moore and Titty, the demon possessed dildo. Really fun comics, really good. One of my favourite characters. And after that We have Harrower Squad Calhab Country by David Bailey on script, Steve Ewell on artwork. Steve Ewell on artwork has changed so much. He's gone kind of quite sketchy. What does he do his own colours? No, colours is by Chris Blythe. Again, the colours are always sterling on 2000 AD. So yeah, that's it. So next month there's a return of I think it's called Dreadnoughts. So yeah, I highly recommend collecting those. They do have a sale on back issues at the moment on 2000ad.com for Jewish Dredd and 2000AD. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Do another one in about 4 weeks' time. Okay. Bye. Bye.